So I put a poll out on my channel the other day asking if there's any of the Summer 5 servants that are coming back for the rerun that you guys would like me to cover, and by a country mile, the one who won was the Rider Murasaki unit, which was very baffling to me because while I do know that Murasaki is very popular, I didn't think she was popular like that, so it was just a little surprising to me. And I guess it's actually kind of cool because Murasaki recently did get a buff over on the JP version of the game that did make her a lot better, more specifically allowing her to do even more damage if she doesn't have her debuffs up. So we're going to talk about all that and more in today's video. Now, I will go ahead and say right at the beginning of the video that I do not recommend summoning on these Summer 5 rerun banners because, again, Lost Belt 6 should be coming out here in a few weeks. They actually just put out a tweet talking about how they're going to do like a live stream or something in a few weeks here, and I'm assuming that they're also going to announce the actual date for Lost Belt 6 coming out during that, so it is quite literally right around the corner. But I guess if you did summon on the banner, because again, Fujino is on the banner with her, and I guess she is still technically a fairly rare servant, and you did catch a stray from this Rider Murasaki, then I guess this video will let you know if she's worth leveling, and I would say yeah, she's worth leveling because you can get some nice value out of her if you do decide to use her, although there are obviously better single targets out there, but not every single target looks as nice as her. But before we begin, if you have not already, make sure to leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for that sweet daily FGO content where your boy is always out here making sure that you are well informed on what is going on both the JP and NA version of the game. Also, if you want to see me go live, I do that every weekday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on my Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below. But with all that being said, let's start diving into Murasaki's kit, starting off with her hits. Now, as an art servant, I like the way that this is built. She's rocking a double quick double arts deck that's going to allow her to gen a fair bit of stars with those 4-hit quick cards and a decent enough, I suppose, 8.8% star gen stat. But thankfully, even though she's not genning a whole lot of stars, she is a rider, so her natural star weight is going to suck up those little stars that she does actually make, and she does at least have a passive 9% quick buff to help out when it does come to that star gen by buffing up that quick performance. And you would hope that those get absorbed into her arts cards because while they are really nice at 4 hits apiece, she does only have 0.53% NP gain, so if you're just kind of clicking them and not really getting any crits on them, she's not going to refund a whole metric butt ton of NP, although that really shouldn't be a problem because Castoria is going to give her a lot of extra NP gain, a lot of raw NP, and huge arts buff. So at the same time, Artoria kind of just makes anybody that has a pulse really good at looping and just kind of getting their NP back. But if for some reason your Castorias go down or you're not using her with Castoria, maybe you're using her with like, I don't know, double waiver because you just want to go back to year 1 for some reason, make sure you're getting crits on those arts cards. She does only have the 4-hit extra attack, which is not the gold standard around here, but then again, her natural NP gain and her natural star gen aren't all that high to really take advantage of a high hit extra attack, so I'll let it slide this time. Now, when we start moving into her skills, I've described Murasaki as more of a lockdown servant or a control type servant, where she really wants to control and debuff the enemy and kind of control the flow of the fight and how strong your enemies are going to be, or like bring them down a bit so they're easier to manage. And that starts off with her first skill, where she has a 100% chance to seal an enemy's NP for 1 turn on a 6-turn cooldown, and also reduces their defense by 30% for 3 turns. This is also why she's actually pretty good at boss killing, because you don't get this on everybody, because go figure, she's a single target. She should only be fighting 1 person, so you really get to maximize this against 1 enemy. The sealing of the NP is also very nice because as an art servant, it's like one of the few things that both Tamamo and Castoria don't provide exactly. Tamamo gives you the ability to drain the enemy's NP but not seal it, and then Castoria gives you raw survivability and invincibility, and she also gives you the solemn defense. So it's just nice to have an extra layer of kind of quote-unquote survivability in there and being able to buy yourself a turn by sealing the enemy's NP. Now do keep in mind, it's not a guaranteed thing, it is like this chance-based thing, so it's going to have to interact with enemy like debuff resistance. So make sure you actually level this 1 to 10 to make sure you get the maximum value and try to guarantee stickiness on an enemy. But it is very nice because it provides her with a decent bit of damage, and I guess a decent bit of damage for anybody else that might also be an offensive servant, because they can also take advantage of that pretty nice 30% defense down, but it's also giving, you know, a little bit of utility in being able to interact with your opponent's NP. Her second skill over here is doing the same thing but for skills. She has that chance to seal the enemy's skills for a turn, which can also be nice because, as you know, if you're about to like finish off an enemy or something, they might go ahead and like pop a dodge or pop an invincibility. Nobody likes that, it's very annoying. Or they might try to like pop a skill to give themselves NP or big attack buff, stuff along those lines. You can just kind of lock down their ability to do that, while also reducing their debuff resistance by 100% for one turn. So you do want to use this in conjunction with some of her other skills because it will make these debuffs easier to stick. And you really do want this last effect here, that 30% arts resistance down for a turn to stick, because that in combination with her first skill is going to give you a lot of damage. But do also keep in mind you want to do this on more of your high damaging turns because that arts resistance down does only last for one turn. So when you need to make a huge push against your enemy, you do want to go ahead and slap this down. It's also very good on her NP turns because her NP does also have a debuff that you do want to stick for numerous turns, so it can be very good on those turns as well. Finally, there's her third skill. This is what's going to kind of help her out when it comes to the NP and the star genning thing. So, you know how I was talking about earlier that, yeah, her like NP gain's not the best and she can gen a couple of stars here and there. Well, this is going to help fix that up a little bit because she's going to give herself a nice 20% NP every single turn for 3 turns, and then she's going to bomb an immediate 20 stars. So any little bit of stars that you're able to provide for her, she can make it a lot more by adding an additional 20 stars. So if she gens, I don't know, 15 stars, you have turned that into 35, and it greatly increases the chances of her being able to do a really good crit turn. Now, the only unfortunate thing is that she does not have her own crit damage buff, so that can be a little annoying that those crits aren't really going to bite that hard. But if you do want to use her with, say, Lady Avalon in the future, or Miss Crane, who can also provide some crit damage, or even, as I was joking about earlier, but it can actually be viable if you want to use her with Waver to get some value out of those crits, that can also be very, very nice. And again, the 20% NP every single turn is going to give you 60% NP over the course of 3 turns, and that's going to be very nice. Finally, we're going to go ahead and look at her NP. Now, I am showing the buffed version because the only thing that they really add is increased damage scaling because, duh, it's a buffed NP, but they're also going to give it a special damage mod against Earth attribute enemies, and this greatly helped out the one area that Murasaki was really lacking in, and that was damage. Now she can actually do some fairly effective damage as you're kind of sticking those debuffs and you're stacking more and more damage, because if you'll notice that on top of getting that, she also has a strong overcharge that every time she hits the enemy with her NP, they're going to get hit with a 20% arts down for 3 turns, meaning every subsequent NP, especially if you can fire this 3 times in a row, is going to be doing more and more damage, and also your follow-up arts cards are also going to do more damage. It's just a very, very nice NP in general, and it has an effect that I do love on my arts NPs, and that is that it has the ability to reduce an enemy's NP gauge by 1. The reason I like this on my art servants is that they're meant to be spammable NPs, and so if you're spamming this, you're almost essentially going to keep the enemy's NP at 0 ideally, because you keep hitting them with this, and as long as you're landing it, it can be very strong. It's one of the things that I still really like about Archer Artoria, because she does something very similar, although Archer Artoria, I would argue, has about an easier time spamming her NP, but still, you could get it done with someone like Murasaki, especially with the help from, like, say, Waver or Castoria, stuff along those lines. So overall, she's a rather solid servant. I mean, she's not doing anything like super crazy or dummy broken, but you can get some value out of her as a good single target arts rider, especially if your only other option is, say, like Ryoma or something. She can definitely take that spot from him and do very, very well for you. Especially in the future, which I get it is quite a ways off. It's going to be a very, very long time until we get her Earth attribute buff on her NP, but when we do get that, it'll actually help her do a lot of really good damage. And I guess the only other person you might use over Murasaki would be like Nemo, I suppose, at least for the time being. But she can have like some competitive damage with Nemo if like Nemo's only got like the water side kind of thing going for him, or if he just has the super large thing. She can kind of get in that range, and you might want to use her over someone like Nemo because she has, again, that ability to interact with her opponent's NP and skills, and it's just kind of a neat way to play the game because you're kind of focusing on debuffing the enemy and sticking all those debuffs with the second skill, and almost not allowing them to do any like weird, annoying gimmicks, and it's just a very fun way to play the game. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you personally like Murasaki Shikabou? Have you used her rider version? And if not, now would be a good time to take her out for a spin, because since the Summer 5 rerun is live, a lot of your friends on your friend list are going to have her put there as a support because she's event bonus. So let me know all that in the comments down below. Again, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace, late guys.